Welcome to a special edition of Signal 360 Startup Spotlight. About a year ago, when we were organizing Signal 2020, we had to scramble to find a way to go from a physical event to a virtual event. Luckily, we found a small startup in the UK called HopIn. They were still at that time about 12 people and a very small startup that were serving a few customers. Today, that startup is the fastest growing unicorn in startup history. Wow. Timing is everything when it comes to setting up a company, but there's more to the story here. And today we have Johnny Boufarhat, the CEO and founder of HopIn, join us to tell the rest of the story. Johnny, welcome to Signal 360. And I'd love to have you start with a little bit of history of HopIn. How did you start the company?
Thank you so much for inviting me, and we're so grateful to have you as customers and to be able to work with you guys. I'm happy to share a little bit of the origin story. Um, I had just graduated university, and I graduated, and during university, I had been experiencing some symptoms, but nothing serious. Uh, when I had went when I traveled abroad and returned back, and came back with food poisoning. And this food poisoning eventually kind of pushed really far an illness that I believe I had from a lot longer before, but I think it kind of caused some issues. And so I started taking a lot of antibiotics as a recommendation. And 6 months later, I had been diagnosed with an autoimmune disease, and it was really, really severe at that time. I was stuck at home. I wasn't able to work. I had to. I had to quit my job. I was about to quit anyway to launch something, but nonetheless, I had to leave, and so I wasn't getting paid. I was lucky. I was living with my fiance, well now fiance at the time, girlfriend, who was able to pick up some of the house bills while I was able to barely make ends meet using just doing tech consulting essentially. And so, fortunately enough for me, I spent around 2 years trying to recover. It was so bad at times I couldn't leave my house, but I was able to work online. I was able to work from home, and for me, that power, I wanted to make the world a lot more accessible. That was something I remember when I was ill, and I didn't know if I was going to get any better. I said, if I get any better, I mean, not to sound like it was a true mission story, but I did have the belief that the world needs to be more accessible. Not everyone's in the right place or can go to the right place at the right time. And so, what ended up happening was, as I started to recover through a really strict diet, was actually one of the biggest things that made a difference. Um, I was thinking about how do I attend events from my house, and I noticed that there were things that existed, such as a webinar, but webinars are not a way to actually interact. Like, the key thing I like about events is being able to interact and interact in real life with other people. Feel like you're there with other people, perhaps network, whatever it is, and that's something that didn't exist. So from webinars to LinkedIn to any of those, they don't really give an event environment. So our goal was to build, or my goal became, I started to work on this side project that was HopIn while I was recovering. That was essentially a venue. I thought of it as a venue, a way for someone like Procter and Gamble to have an online venue that offered the ability to have a stage, perhaps a networking area, perhaps areas with different booths, and really be able to customize it to their liking, and so that it's super accessible for anyone from anywhere. And that was really the goal and the mission of the company till today, is making the world feel smaller. And so that was the origin story. Obviously, COVID happened about 9 months after I had built the prototype and I started raising money.
Yeah, that's the amazing part of the story, right? So come March, I think we contacted you probably April, May-ish or so, and had the first kicking the tires. Your company was maybe 15, 20 people. You had a list of customers. Some people told me, it's like, this is too small to build an event on, right? In this end. So tell us what happened around that time and how you survived a year of incredible demand.
Yeah, I mean, what ended up happening was we had a huge amount of influx and demand, and like you said, we were about 12 people. Today, we're close to 600 for context.
So your wildest dreams, did you ever expect to be where you're at today?
Um, I, you know, I didn't expect to be able to, you know, I, I think that's a really difficult question. I think, you know, we all hope that, growing up that we can make an impact on the world. I hope that I would be able to make some sort of impact. You know, it's not always through building a business or building Hopin would have been the only way. I think I would have found some way to make an impact, whether it's at a local level, at an international level, wherever it was. But I think the big thing that changed for me was, did I think, again, I don't want to sound, if did I think I was going to build Hopin and it was going to be built by 11 million users? Absolutely not. Worldwide, and I feel very lucky and blessed to be in this position. And I think one thing that one thing that is really important for me was getting ill and having those, I don't want to say near death experiences, but they do make you change your view of the world. And for me, one of the big things that changed, and I think everybody's been through trauma or had something that they've went through in their life that's changed them, but it really shaped me to want to make a bigger impact on the world. And it was truly around accessibility. And I think that's partially one of the reasons we are where we are today. I think is because you have to let a mission drive you, and I think that's the biggest one for us is accessibility.
That's great. Now you have another, um, you know, significant time ahead with COVID. Hopefully coming to somewhat in an end. I mean, many parts of the world still are suffering greatly, but some parts of the world, like the US and the UK, where you're residing, are seeing better times ahead. How are you going to adjust to that? Are you just going to focus on virtual events, or do you see that companies, some of your clients, are also thinking of coming back together in person again? And how will you participate in that as Hopin?
We're excited first and foremost for the world to return to normal, and so we were always a hybrid company. Actually, before COVID, the first ever business event held on Hopin, which was in November of 2019, or I think actually September of 2019. It was an event for a company that had offices all across the world, and they didn't, they were hosting an event in Singapore, and they wanted to actually hybridize it so their employees and members of their greater customer group would be able to attend from New York or wherever they are in the world. So they hybridized that event, and that's actually what I thought would be the path moving forward. That we were always going to be this company that really makes your event. If you have a physical event, we're making your event online, or if you have so just reaching more people for the physical event. Or if you have an online event, if you want to host a fully online event, that's the same possibility. So that was always our goal. So we're super excited. We were already, a lot of the people, customers that we work with today are now returning to hybrid events and using us for their hybrid events. So we're super excited. But we also are expanding our offering. There'll be a lot of new investments that we're making. We plan on going really deep into in-person, so that we have the QR code scanning, all the things you need essentially to completely run any event on Hopin. That is our goal, to be the event platform, make the world feel smaller through a lot of technologies we build and make it more accessible. And so, even if you're on site or hybrid or online, it should be one suite of product in order to one suite of hopefully high quality product to make that happen.
A last question for you. I can imagine that you've learned a lot in the last year as a leader and as an entrepreneur. Any wisdom you want to share with others who are leaders and entrepreneurs out there?
Absolutely. I think the biggest thing that I've noticed, if I think about and I unwind everything that got us to where, biggest pictures of where we got today, I think the biggest thing would be around ego. Actually, I think one thing that as at a company level and also as an entrepreneur, sometimes it's very hard to not let your ego get in the way of things. And what I mean by that is, ego doesn't have to necessarily mean that you're a flamboyant or that your wisdom, but perhaps there's something that you love doing, that you want to do in the company. However, you're better placed somewhere else being an executive. What I mean by that is, for me, for example, I love coding. I love building and designing products, but I'm not good at it. And I'm sure any engineer will tell you in the company that I'm a terrible. They don't want me in the code. However, I really enjoyed doing that, and I didn't. It took me a while to kind of accept that I should. I should stop spending my time here and spend my time somewhere that's better for the company, because there's a lot better talent that need more responsibility and more delegation for their responsibility to do that. And I didn't do that from any sort of, and we don't do it in life for any sort of, I think most people, for any sort of like machismo or anything like that. But it's just about, being able to actually move your ego out of the way when a decision happens is one of the most powerful things, because I think even when it comes to group conversations, executive conversations, strategic conversations, I think most people are speaking with 80% logic, 20% ego. And when you drop the ego, I think the decisions come a lot quicker.
Well, that is great advice, Johnny, and I'm so happy that you had the time to share with us in Signal 360 for this special issue leading up to our Signal event this year. And we're going to make it a wonderful event on the HopIn platform, and I hope to see you back in the future.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for inviting me, and I love speaking with you, Stan.